Welcome to the FaceTime with God podcast. I'm your host, Kay Farrar, and yes, you have tuned in to the right place because we're bringing Christ to the culture and the culture to Christ. Because the gospel's not for old times, it's for all times. So we've got relevant topics, real people, and we're starting right now. All right, everybody. So welcome to another edition of FaceTime with God. And I just have something to say. Teresh is in the building. Just kidding. But yeah, Teresh, you walked up in here like you know. And I love it. And I love it so much. So everybody, let's welcome Teresh. I know my puppies like to welcome all the guests, so they're here to welcome you as well. And so what we're going to do, Teresh, is we're going to loosen up a little bit because I know you came packing. I already know you came packing. So we're going to play our studio audience. So Teresh Wilson, you guys. So our studio audience is familiar with us playing this just thumbs up or thumbs down. Okay. So your first response, we're just going to throw a few things out. Okay. So here we go. I'm going to hit you with a tough one right off the bat. Okay. Broccoli. Is that a thumbs up or a thumbs down? I'm going to give it a thumbs up. Yeah. All right. How about steak?
Yeah, thumbs up.
All right. All right. Pizza?
Thumbs up.
All right. A veggie platter.
Both of them. I'll do thumbs up. I like veggie platters though.
You eat a veggie platter?
I eat the broccoli.
You eat the broccoli?
Yeah.
All right. If you had to get a veggie platter, we offer this right now. But what would you get on it if you had to get one?
I would get broccoli, carrots, celery. Maybe cauliflower.
No zucchini, nothing crazy.
No.
Okay. No squash. Okay.
And that's no.
Okay. All right. How about this? How about watermelon?
Oh yeah. Yeah, green, right? Yeah.
Sweet tea?
Yeah.
All right. I'm just checking this out. I'm checking this out because I need to know what I have in my next cookout. So
okay.
You help me a lot. All right. So one quick thing that I looked up. I looked you up. I Googled you, actually. No. I Googled you, Teresh. Okay. And this is Psychology Today. I just think that is so cool.
Yeah.
So you are officially a licensed professional counselor, LPC. So does that mean you're technically a psychologist as well? Or tell us a little bit. What's the difference there?
So a professional counselor, I got my master's and then waited 2 years to acquire my hours to take my licensure exam. Okay. Psychologists, they follow a similar route. Their schooling is a little longer, but their testing is different. Okay. And so, no, I'm not a psychologist. Psychologists do like testing primarily. Okay. I don't, I can do basic testing, but not the more intensive ones. I'll say it like that. Mm-hmm.
So this is your field. This is what you do professionally. How did you get into the field? What led you there?
So, what led me there, we're just going to jump in. What led me there is that I had two adopted brothers growing up. Okay. I come from a very large family, but I didn't find out that they were adopted until I was 8 years old. And so after that, one thing,
you were 8, okay.
And so, one thing about me and my siblings, like we always found a place to hang out in the house, because there was a lot of people. I had 10 people in my house growing up. Yeah, my parents had 7 kids, and then my grandmother lived with us, and then my 2 parents. So it was 10 people, and so we would meet at night on our stairs going to the basement because all the boys' rooms were in the basement, and we would just sit and talk. And so after we found out that they were me, my twin, and my younger sister found out that they were adopted. The older ones knew, of course, because they were there when they got them. Then they used to tell us stories about things that they experienced. And I was like, I don't want kids to have to go through that, and I want to help them. And so that kind of.
And you said that was when you were around 8 years old?
8 years old that I found out.
Okay, when y'all had that conversation with them and you kind of realized this is something you might want to do about how old? That was 8?
That was 8.
And the reason why that just stands out to me is it's like your gifting and your passion for others. And I think it's like that with most people. But sometimes they don't get, the trigger, if you will, or the springboard or, something to cause that light bulb to illuminate. A lot of times when you're exposed to different things, okay, they might take you fishing and you're like, oh, I can't stand this. Somebody like, whoa, you know what I mean? And so, it lights up something on the inside of you when you come face to face with something that has something to do with your destiny. And it's just so awesome to me that happened with you when you were 8 years old. And here, fast forward, this is what you're doing professionally. And, that's so unique for somebody 8 years old to be having to have a conversation. Okay. But to take that conversation and say, I want to make sure this doesn't ever happen to anybody else. At 8 years old, like that's pretty serious.
Well, I will say that wasn't the only thing that sparked. That was the first thing that kind of led me into that passion. But like I said, I'm a twin, and I think just a part of who I've always been is kind of like a protector, and so that was a big part of it growing up. Just watching out for my sister and, just taking care of my younger sister. Not that I had to be the sole responsible one. I wasn't, but that was just who I was. And then other things, just living through different difficulties and just once I got to be a teenager, I went through my own issues where I was just like, okay, I need to figure out why people think the way that they do, because I had a lot of anger. And so I was never like a bully or anything like that. Actually, I'm a protector. I'm a natural protector. So I got along with everybody except bullies. I was the one that I would...
Like, we're not having it.
Yeah, because I had always had a ready stock of anger. So I was like...
You locked and loaded.
Yeah, you want to... Yeah, we can do that. Yeah. So that was like, that's how it kind of came out when I was in school, but I wasn't a bad kid. So it was this dilemma because my teachers were always like, why? Like, you're smart, you get along with everybody, but why are you always in a fight? But it was because I didn't like to see people get picked on. I didn't like to see people get mistreated. And so once I kind of realized, Teresh, you're getting older, you're going to go to jail. You can't just be beating up people. So I was like, I need to figure out why people do the things they do. So then I don't get so irritated by it. Yeah. So then that took me into psychology.
Absolutely. Yeah, but I'm saying that sounds like it was just in you from the beginning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is so awesome. So where do you fall in your family in terms of age?
So again, being a twin, it's interesting because it's kind of like one. Like when you look at twins, we both come at the same time. So we are next to the baby.
Next to the baby, okay.
My mother had a C-section, so my twin likes to tell everybody she is older than me because she is technically. They took her out first because she was choking me, and so
they had to get her off of me. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
So I am technically the one that's right next to the baby, but we came right before the last one.
Okay, all right, and so all right, yeah, so. So you told me a little bit about that, but I just kind of want to formally, I guess, ask the question. And if you were to have to answer this question, who is Teresh Wilson? What would you say?
I don't know. Who am I? I would say, this is the basic answers. I'm a wife. I'm a mom. I'm a sister. I'm a daughter. But, I would say, honestly, I think I'm a person that loves very hard. I'm a protector. I'm actually more, I'm like an extrovert. I'm an introvert with extrovert tendencies. Wow. Because my initial presentation is I am a very social person, but my husband has helped me to realize over the years, like my initial presentation.
Here, by the way, supporting. Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
My initial presentation is I will have a conversation with anybody, but I'm very close and particular about who I let into me, though. And so that's where more of the introvert comes in. And honestly, once people get to know me, they see more of that introvert side. Like, oh, you're actually you can be really quiet. Like when you are in your own space, you can be quiet, and it's like, yeah, that's just who I am.
Okay.
But,
so if you had a choice between like going to a party and just staying home, maybe, I don't know if you journal or do poems or, just read. Well, not like we just recently talked to April's party. Of course, you were going to go to that. But I'm just saying, somebody said, hey, we're having a cookout, versus staying at home. Which would you do?
I'm going to go to the party and I'm going to sit in the corner. I'm going to talk to the people that I like. And then I'm going to kind of just sit back and watch.
Really? Cool.
That's what I do. Yeah.
Cool. You're going to go to the party, but you're not going to be the life of the party.
I am going to be the life of the party. I can't help it. It's like, but it's not that I want to be.
From the corner.
Yeah.
You're
but like when we got together, when we were together, it's like, I'm going to talk to people, but I'm not. Again, when people see me, they're like, oh, Teresh. But I don't know. It just depends. If I'm in a conversation with somebody, then I'm in that conversation with that person. I'm not going to break and be like, oh, but they walked in.
Yeah.
That's not me.
It's so funny, you guys. Just giving the background. And so, here on FaceTime with God, we're building, right, relationships, a community, even with the podcast.
Right.
So I just treat everybody who watches kind of like their family.
Yeah,
So you guys, Teresh and I, we just came from April's party a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
And April is the stylist, consultant for the podcast. And you guys are really, really great friends.
Yeah.
April just had all of her closest friends there.
Yeah.
And I told Teresh, I said I had to apologize to April because me and Teresh sat beside each other. And we were like, girl. And we talked the whole party. Yeah. From the time you sat down until it was over, till everybody was leaving. And then they were taking pictures. And I was like, dog, I was like, I hope we weren't rude. Yeah. But you were just sharing so much about your life. A lot of things I didn't know because again, for the audience, Teresh was I suppose I want to say collectively as a community, as a Christian community, you were kind of one of our young people at the time. You weren't a member of our church. Yeah. My particular church where we came from, Richmond Christian Center and the Youth Empowerment Station, where we, worked with youth. But we did so much together. You were like, in the group with all the young people. Yeah. And then just to see you, I know that sounds so all grown up, married with kids, and then to hear your story. So why don't you just share whatever's on your heart, but some of what you were sharing with us of your story. It's like which one?
Yeah, I'm like, which one? We talked a lot. But
we start wherever you want to start. It's cool.
Well, I'll say this. So for a short time, I was actually a member at RCC. So as far as I knew, because I was sharing with you, I thought Pastor Duncan was my pastor. That's why I used to tell him. Right. And he would always say, like, I'm not the pastor. And I'm like, you are my pastor. Like, you're my pastor. So I was there for a while. And then I think my first Sunday I got there, that's when in my eyes, I felt like I needed to officially get saved. But I actually had committed my life to God a few days before that. But, I wasn't in a church, so I didn't think it counted. I wanted to make sure that I was going to be good. Yeah. So that first Sunday I was there, I don't even remember who was talking or what happened. I just knew at the end of the service, they were like, if you want to give your life? I was like, that's me. That was the only thing I remember. So I was there for a while. I really got really close with Minister Duncan and his family.
Right, you were telling me that.
Yeah, they really they took me in, and I was very thankful because I grew up going to church, but I guess I had kind of a normal expectation of the church. This is for older people. This is not really for young me, you know. But while I'm here, God, I need you to do some things for me though, you know. And so when I came down here, when I came to Richmond and moved down here for school, I wound up giving my life to the Lord about 5 months after being here, for real. And got met Minister Duncan. And one of my things I wrote to God the night that I actually committed my life to him, I was like, God, you made me who I am. You gave me this personality. I'm loud. I like to dance. I like people. And I don't want no corny Christian friends. Wow. So you give me the people that you want me to be around, because I really want to do this right. And met Minister Duncan. And his family just kind of adopted me, you know, and I needed that. Yeah. I came, like I said, I came from a big family. And to be the only one in Richmond, it was a lot. I wasn't expecting to go through like being homesick and being lonely. So his family was that family for me. Yeah. So I always think about him as my first Richmond father.
Wow. And you came here for school. That's why you were away from me.
I came here for school.
Where were you originally from?
Alexandria, Virginia. Okay. And so got here, was in a ministry that was fine. And then I met that first, about a month after I first got saved, I met 2 friends, one of which is my husband now. And we just clicked. So I went home for Christmas break, came back, and a few months later I started visiting his church. We were just friends. It wasn't anything else outside of that. But for a year, I was going to RCC in the morning to their 8 o'clock service at the youth center. And then to Victory Life Fellowship, which is my church now. And their service was like at 2 in the afternoon. So literally on Sundays, I was at church all day. Cool. Yeah, because I felt
actually good.
Well, you know, I ain't had nothing else to do because I wasn't getting in trouble. So, you know, but I was actually felt like that's where I was beginning to mature, and my faith was over there. And but I was in this awkward position because I didn't. Most people, when you leave churches, it's for a bad, like, you know, there's hurt or something. But I just was like, I felt like I was supposed to be at Victory. So what I did, because I had a good relationship with my pastor, Minister Duncan, you know, I just told him how I was feeling. And he knew Pastor Wilson, who was over Victory Life Fellowship, and they talked. It was like they both actually walked me through the process of transitioning fellowships. And I felt good about it because there was no secrets. It was no like, I'm coming over here, even down to my romantic interests. Anything that you could have thought of what would have been my motivation to move, they asked me. And, you know, I was honest with both of them. And I got both of their blessings. And that's where I've been ever since.
Wow. I just think it is so unique and so outstanding. Just how you were led by the Spirit. Like, seriously. Even you coming here, you know, knowing the story now that you're married, you know, and that's like a God, you know, definitely like a God thing to connect you with your husband. And I just think he was orchestrating things the whole time. Even, honestly, you know, your desire, your love for Pastor Duncan and being, you know, over there with the Youth Empowerment Station, but feeling like, okay, but I'm supposed to be somewhere else and not knowing why. And stepping out on that is just, it stands out.
What happened was it helped me to really, really trust God that God sees me, you know, which is something that I didn't have that confidence growing up. That's one reason why I say I'm a social person, but I don't bring people in because people tend to react to what they see. And it's like my presentation comes off like, oh, I'm just so confident. And I do have a layer of confidence, but growing up, I did not. But I've always been like this because I had to be the protector. I couldn't show weakness. So it's like when people can see past that, and I know God sees past that. And so he's like, I trust him, and I feel like, you know, God, I don't know about people loving me, but I know that God loves me. It's like, I know that he does. it's so much that he's done in my life, and he just shows it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
And so with you leaving, that kind of put you on the pathway, not premeditated in this sense, but put you on the pathway to meet your husband.
No, I actually met my husband when I was at RCC.
Well, to get in the relationship, or how did all of that come to pass?
So,
because you're right, you did meet him. But
I met him.
I guess y'all started dating.
Okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah, because, I'm going to go back to that story what I shared with you. So what happened was, again, when I got saved, I had a roommate at the time. Now I know it's faith. I did not think about it at that point like that. I just thought, well, God saved me and he knew who I was and everything I've done. Yeah, I'm not asking nothing too big after that, you know? Yeah. So what happened was my roommate asked me one night, she was talking, she was like, you think that God will tell us who it is that we're going to marry, like if we're going to get married? So I was like, I'm going to ask him. Because there's a confidence that I had. Like, I'm going to ask him, So we prayed. And then I went to bed. And that night, now, I was also arrogant because I had a different person in my mind that I was like, and I guess that's probably where the confidence came from. Okay. Like, I already know who I'm going to marry. I know. Well, I don't know if we're going to get married, but we're going to be together for a while. Totally different person. Wow. So I had this dream, and I remember right before I woke up, I saw this silhouette of a person, and it did not match at all to the person that I thought that I would be in a relationship with. Right. So I'm like, so I woke up, I was angry and I was confused, and I'm like, God, what in the... Didn't make no sense. And I'm like, so I get up. My husband and another one of our friends have popped up at our house, me and my roommate's house. And so my room was right across from the bathroom. So I get up. She's like, hey, they're here. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I get up, go to the bathroom. And when I walk out my room to go across the hall to the bathroom, my husband now is standing at the door. So I saw that silhouette again. Mm-hmm. And I just went in the bathroom and locked the door. And I was like, no. Because he's in Richmond. That is so cool. I'm leaving Richmond. I don't, no, that's not going to happen.
So your plan after graduation to go back?
My plan that next month was to move to New York. Like, I was moving. I didn't even tell my parents. I was leaving. Yeah. And so then... we wind up, I was like, well, if I never talk to him, I could obviously never marry him. So then God kind of flipped that plan, because then we wanted to go to church together, and we wanted to become like best friends. Before we started going to church together, we had a conversation, our first real conversation. Like, I was like, I'm going to have to kill him. Because I told him too much. He was the only person in Richmond. He shared things with me about his life, but I don't feel, my biggest fear was that people would judge me. Mm-hmm. Like, dang, that's terrible, and like tease me about it. And he didn't do that. He was just like, I don't even remember what he said, but I didn't feel any of that. Mm-hmm. And
more just listening.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when there's something heavy and hard like that on your heart, you can't even receive but so much.
Yeah.
And it's somebody that'll just listen.
Yeah.
Which kind of goes into what you do today in a way.
What it is.
Because that's mostly listening.
Right.
I mean, you give some guidance, but...
Right.
Keep going on.
So then we... I told him after... Because... I didn't have good management of my emotions, because remember, I carried anger in my backpack all day, and bitterness was the other backpack. So I was like, I can't believe I did this. I'm crying. I'm like, I never wanted that life to follow me. Mm-hmm. And I was like, either we gonna be best friends, or I'm gonna have to kill you. And
I know you didn't say that.
I probably did say that. You don't think I said that? I remember saying something like that. He don't always have a good memory though. It's fine. I do. And so I got the mic today. But
he blanked that one out.
Yeah. And so we wound up like, we just started being friends, And it was a difficult road, because I had to learn about church culture too. And I didn't grow up in church like
and
that.
That's what I was going to ask you. Because I'm really, in your testimony, I'm just kind of like seeing God leading you.
Yeah.
Even in coming down here. So what do you know? What were you thinking about when you decided to come down here to school?
Okay.
Like, how did that happen?
Okay, that's an interesting story. So what happened was my junior year, I had a really good friend. He was murdered by his best friend. It was accidental. Okay. They were going out. It was the night of our prom. And they were going out afterwards. They had already graduated. And my best friend at the time, one of my best friends at the time, they never dated, but it was like, everybody knew there was something there with them. And so we started getting the calls like probably around like 11, 12 o'clock that night, that Saturday, that he had gotten shot and that he died. And it was terrible. It was terrible. And so at that time, I kind of was like, I'm going to just go and work. I don't really care about school like that. I was in advanced classes. Okay. I dropped out of my advanced classes because, remember I told you I've been signing my own paperwork since I was in like 5th grade. Yeah. So signed myself right on out the advanced class because my teacher told me, Teresh, you're better than those people. You shouldn't be around them. And while I'm in the middle of crying on a Monday morning, and he just died Saturday. So I signed myself up on her class and the other class. And so I had a free day. I mean, free periods. And so I didn't really do the whole applying to college thing. Because I was like, I'm just going to go to community college and I'm just going to work. I've been working since I was like 13, So I was like, I can hold it down. I know what to do. And so my career counselor talked to me like April or May of my graduating year and was like, you didn't apply to any schools. You should probably look at Yeah. He was like, you did these career placement tests. You did good in social work, psychology, sociology, criminal justice. Okay. You should pursue that. So he looked up the schools. He was like, you want to stay in, stay out, stay. I'm like, I don't care. Like, I'm not owing anything you tell me. So he looked up and he was like, VCU is a good school. You should look into that. Wow. I applied to VCU. Wow. He was like, it's free. You don't have to pay for nothing. You can apply. I applied to VCU. They set up a date for me to come down for an orientation. My parents drove me down here. I was driving down with the impression that I was already accepted. We got down here and they were like, your grades are terrible, which they weren't terrible, but they were like, you need to go to do a community college first and then come back. I probably had like a C average, which I went from like an A-B student because I just was like, forget everything after that. I already know what I'm doing. So I had enough. I only took like one class my senior year. So I was ahead. I just dropped everything my junior year. Yes, because school was like our getaway from home. So we did summer school for years. So did all of that. Came down here. They told me no. They couldn't give me an acceptance on the spot. So I was like, okay. Went back home. And 2 weeks later, they mailed me a letter and said that I was accepted.
Wow.
I was like, well, gotta go. And my dad was like...
And you were meeting with the social work department?
We met with the admissions office.
Just the admissions
office. Yes. And they were like, no. Yes.
Isn't
and then they were like,
something?
Yeah. So my dad was like, you didn't get accepted there. And I was like, here go the letter. And he was like... Do
you think affirmative action had anything to do with it or no?
No, I think it was solely...
Ever say that?
No. I think it was solely God's grace.
That's what I mean.
Literally.
That's what it sounds like. I'm like...
I mean, honestly.
Wow.
So my dad was like, you can't go. Yeah, literally. He was like, you don't have anywhere to stay. And I was like, it'll work out. I'll find somewhere. I was very borderline disrespectful, well, but headstrong too. Yeah, literally. Yeah. So I was like, I'm gonna find it out. I'm gonna work it out. And then a girl called me from my school. We kind of ran with the same group, and she was like, I need a roommate. I was like, where you going? Where you go to school? She was like, VCU. There you go. Take my roommate. I told you.
She called you.
She called me,
but she knew you.
She didn't know I was going to VCU, so I didn't know I was going to VCU. Wow. So I was like, okay,
Wow.
there go my roommate. So then we came down. He was just, it was just like.
I just feel like God meant for you to be in Richmond.
Literally.
You to marry Haven.
Yes.
And he was gonna get these two things connected.
Literally. So this is thing. I'm gonna jump forward. Once we were friends for like 9 years, best friends for like 9 years, and when I say best friends, like. We were friends. There were times where feelings kind of like arose, but we were friends. Like we talked about everything, everything, and
you and Haven.
Me and Haven.
Right.
And so I asked God, because I was like, if this is really supposed to be my husband, what are our kids going to look like? And I could never, but that was just the kind of thing that I would do with God. Not testing him, but like, I just want to know, and I never could see. I knew I was going to have children. I never could see what they look like. But my son is his carbon copy.
Really?
My daughter is my carbon copy.
Really?
Literally.
Wow.
Literally. And personality and everything. Wow. So I'm like, oh, I see. Now I see why I could never find out. Yeah.
Because you just need to go look in the mirror.
Yeah, literally. Literally.
Colossians 3:23 and 24. And whatever you do, do it with all your heart as unto the Lord and not unto men, knowing that it's of the Lord that you shall receive the reward of the inheritance, because you serve the Lord Christ.